the Pancake and Power Slam. Turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam show. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam. Turn it up, turn it up. It's the Pancake and Power Slam show. Turn it up.
Ooh, what's going on, everybody? This is Dr. Chris Featherstone here for yet another episode of the Pancakes and Power Slam show. We got a really good one tonight, buddy. I'm telling you, I had a little bit of time in my hands. I was like, ooh, I really want to break this down. I really want to break this down from a psychological standpoint. I'm going to make time to actually do a class today. Man, I wanted to break this down, and I'm going to break it down, buddy. I'm going to break it down. All right, let's see. What we feeling today? What y'all feeling? Some Lakey inspired? Yes, it is. I know that a lot of some of my loyalists are big fans of Lakey inspired. So how about okay. Yeah, let's do this one. Yeah, this one's called Doing Just Fine. All right, come on in, join in. Join in. Yeah. Come on in, y'all. Man, I'm telling you, this one's gonna be good. So come on in. Let your friends know. Let everybody know, man. I've got a presentation. Like I'm going all out this time, guys. I'm going all out this time. I had some time, like an hour, to do this and to really compile all the things that I know about psychology and break it down. Of course, I love the research too, to learn and refresh and all that fun stuff too. So yeah, man, this was going to be fun. So I saw what's going on. I'm excited about this. So I'm going to jump right into it. All right, let's do this. Come on in. All right. So this is what we're going to do. What's up, everybody who's coming on in? Appreciate all y'all. Very much so. All right. Let's jump into this, man. So I saw the only thing I have to do when it comes to pro wrestling is to look at the socials. All right. So I looked at the socials, and what I saw was a lot of people talking about Triple H's interview that happened like early, like last spring, probably. It was a long time ago, because he even mentioned my report on there. And so, yeah, this was a while ago, but it started to come back up, and people started to talk about the critique, the fans' critique. All right, and people making videos about it. I was like, okay, well, y'all, it's becoming more of an evergreen interview because there's clearly there's components of the interview that people are still commenting about. And so I was like, you know what? That's really interesting, because I really want to break that down from a psychological standpoint. All right. So I'm going to break it down, and not only am I going to break it down, like the bell's coming back, y'all. The bell is coming back. Class is in session. Come on in. I'm really excited about this. I'm going to break down the psychology of fan criticism and why it is important for a business. It's very important for a business, actually. So, and there's slide. I got slides ready for y'all. It's going to be really fun. So, just a quick backdrop before I get into the slides. I've talked about just how it's really important for fans to have a voice for the product, but also get to the point of having a high emotional intelligence or high EQ levels. I've talked about that several times before. It's very important for pro wrestling fans to have high EQ levels. Okay, that's what we know. All right, cool. Well, all right, we know that. So with that being said, this is under the caveat. This is under the caveat of understanding that these pro wrestling fans, their IQ levels are higher than a toxic fan, particularly pro wrestling fan who pitches a tent and camps over on Twitter. Right? We're talking about loyal and emotionally intelligent adult consumers. All right, that's what we're going to talk about. That is the backdrop of who we're talking about when it comes to the audience. All right, loyal, paying customers who's dedicated to the product. I'm telling you, I was serious about this. I told y'all. This is it's going down today. It's going down today. We're going all in, and we're going to have a wonderful time because, like I said, I'm pretty serious about this one, and I'm going to break this down from a psychological. We're class is in session, y'all. Class is absolutely in session. All right. So again, this is under the backdrop of loyal, avid pro wrestling fans that are not just, like I say a lot when it comes to a lot of pro wrestling fans. A lot of them are children and adults' bodies. But we're not talking about them. We're talking about the paying customer. We're talking about the loyalist. We're talking about the level-headed, smart. Yes, this person can be a smart fan, but also this person is also emotionally intelligent, level-headed, rational thinking. Their prefrontal cortex isn't being compromised by their emotional instability. So that is the backdrop of who the customer and who the person is that we're talking about. I hope that Triple H is talking about these people, because if he's talking about the toxic extremist that camps over on Twitter, that's another problem that you don't want. That you don't want that. But we're talking about loyal critics. We're talking about people who have a lot of cachet and a lot of investment into the product in order for them to have something to say, which they should have something to say, because if you don't have something to say, then who are you appeasing? Because the product appeases a consumer. It either fills a gap, it feeds a need, and or it does a combination of both, or to present something that's captivating. So we're going to get into the psychology of all this. I want to first start with the interview. I want to start with the let's start with the interview. All right, let's start there. And this is going to be fun. I'm really excited about this, y'all. All right, here we go. All right, so let's actually start off with a quote. I actually have a quote on here before we go. All right, so the quote is, in order, wait a minute, where'd that go? All right, oh wait, there we go. In order to figure this art making stuff, this is from Jim Goldberg. He's a very notable author and artist, and he said this. And so when we're talking about art, we're talking about just the art form, period. All right, and this Jim Goldberg quote is very good when it comes to just painting the picture of what my presentation and my class is going to be today. Goldberg, he said this, and this is a person who knows his stuff when it comes to art and artistry and author and expression of art. He said, in order to figure this art making stuff out, It's trial and error and experimentation and some time and hard thinking. Putting work out in many forms and stages is an extension of how I see things. I feel the art process is best served with when it invites comments and constructive criticism from people. And this is someone who's very successful in the field of art, so he knows a lot about art, and he discussed a proper expression of that art is for people to be open for criticism and to invite it, constructive criticism. All right. So exactly what are we talking about here when it comes to this criticism piece? This is what Triple H had to say about you guys, the fans.
This will sound defensive. Every critic that is out there, I wish I could tell people off being a critic. Be a fan. Go watch this and be a fan. If I tell you go to the movies and watch this movie, I saw it's really good, and you just go to the movie as a fan, you watch the movie, you have one opinion. If I tell you, hey, go see this movie, but can you give me a one-page detail, like things on what you liked, what you didn't like, and if it worked for you or didn't work for you, you watch it totally differently. Right? You watch the product totally differently. It ruins it for people. The world was so much better when nobody.
So first of all, before we get into the breakdown of this class here, well, there are people who are paid critics who actually gets paid to break it down like that. That's first, and then second of all, when if nobody knew was what he said for the was greater when nobody knew. Well, there's been forums and all kinds of all types of dirt sheets that have been around for 30 years now. I mean, it's been quite a long time now. And so yeah, I mean, it's something that has been going on for a long time now. So it's I mean, most of his career, there's been dirt sheets. There's been dirt sheets since the mid 90s. And even before that, I mean, Meltzer has been around for 40 plus years. So, I mean, all of Triple H's career, there's been people who knew of some sort. There's been people telling people about the business. So, all of Triple H, especially from a Meltzer perspective, all of Triple H's career has been, the entirety of his career has been people knowing something about the insides of the business. So that doesn't apply for him. The more he talks about critics, there's people who literally get paid for criticism, for critique, to critique a product, because what they say means something. And there's people who in the pro wrestling business who actually have a voice and are critics. And I'm going to show why critiquing is actually a good thing for professional wrestling. All right. I got 4 things. Now, granted, there's way more. I mean, there's way more. I only had time for 4, and these 4 are extensive. All right. So number 1 is it creates a feedback loops for a person or the actual person, the actual company owner. It actually creates a feedback loop for that product owner, so to speak. All right. So fan feedback has become a staple part of the engagement process. It's much more than tweets and shares, but it's both an online and offline component in order to both create and add value to the product by means such as attendance, merchandise sales, and fan reviews. And the more I go with the different types of reasons, the 4 reasons, there's much more. But the 4 reasons why fan critique is actually good for not only the pro wrestling product, but sports in general. But you have paying customers here. So you have people who are buying merch. You have people who are paying for the gates. So you're coming to tell me that you have, and plus you're increasing the prices. So they're spending even more time and even more money with the product. And so you're telling me that paying customers can't critique the product. That's essentially where we're at right now. Pro wrestling is no different than any other consumer-based product. It's a consumer-based product. Sports, via pro wrestling, you have paying customers, Triple H and company, you get paid because the fans pay for the gates, pay for the merch. If everybody boycotted pro wrestling for a year, didn't buy any type of merchandise, didn't pay any type of fan tickets, none of that, cancel the subscriptions, you would be in a huge funk. So you can't sit there and dismiss fans if it's the fans that's paying your bills at this point. You have paying customers, merchandise sales, fan reviews, attendance. It goes beyond just Twitter, just toxic Twitter. It's way beyond that. It's fan reviews. It's a lot of it's so many different components when it comes to feedback. And that feedback should be listened to. It should absolutely be listened to. So although a sports product will never successfully reach anyone, we know that, pay attention to the intangibles. So I'll listed 3 intangibles here that product owners or company owners should pay attention to. 1, what's the overall feeling of the product? Now, across there's many people saying right now that the product is stale and they're not interested. I mean, again, you can say discard completely the IWC. I understand what you mean from a emotional, intelligent, stable standpoint, but at the same time, not everybody on the internet and who has opinions about pro wrestling is in the IWC wrestling bubble, for one, and for 2, not all those opinions are bad. I mean, not all those opinions are untrue. And so you have to consider those things. What is the overall feeling? Right now, if you think about it, is pro wrestling better? Like, is the feeling of pro wrestling across the board? Is there a positive feel toward the product overall? Or do you start to see more criticisms about the product? You can't just sit there and ignore the criticisms that your product has. Now, again, we'll talk about outliers here in a minute, but what about just the overall wave of review? The overall wave of review when it comes to the product and the consumers that are consuming your product. What do they feel? How do they feel? And that's your homework for tonight. And for those who are listening to this show, after the show, put down, what do you think? Overall, how would you grade the pro wrestling, specifically WWE as a whole? What would you grade it, and explain your grade? That's your homework assignment for tonight. So, B, is the momentum of the product reaching beyond its target audience? All right. And I'll put C in there as well. Is your current audience proud of supporting the product? Or is there more of a feeling of loyalty over loudness? And what I mean by loyalty over loudness is, are you publicly voicing satisfaction with the product to the extent of promoting it outside of the target audience? That's what I mean by loudness. Are you just simply being loyal? And we'll get to reason, specifically one big reason why people's loyal to a product here in just a moment. But are you loyal just for loyalty's sake? You've been watching it for a while. You're hoping something to change or hoping for something to be new. You spend so much time and effort and money in it. And so is that the majority of why you're watching it, or is that the overarching or the biggest reason why you're watching it? Or can you go out publicly and say, as a grown adult, yes, I love professional wrestling. Yes, I watch it every single week. Yes, I think it's fantastic and I really enjoy it thoroughly. Can you say that? Now, can there be critiques within enjoying a product overall? Yes, absolutely. I've said this many times before. I am an avid college football fan. I think that the college football playoffs were amazing. I think the story of Indiana winning their first national championship with Curt Cignetti being there for only 2 years and being in a D1 for 4, I believe. I think he was JMU for 2 years. And so as a head coach, he was assistant as well. He was under the Saban tree. But as far as a head coach for a D1, he has less than a handful of experience in him. And even in that, you have someone who's a national championship with the losingest program in all of college football. And so, and to be able to turn that around in a matter of 2 years is absolutely remarkable. And that's the type of precedence that we are looking for in a product. That's what we're looking for. And for the Curt Cignetti to be able to do that is remarkable. And that's the story that the fans are engaged to. Indiana beat Ohio State, and everybody knows I'm an Ohio State enthusiast. I am an Ohio State fan through and through. But I love the story, man. The story wrote itself throughout the entire season. And although Indiana beat Ohio State, I love the fact I just love seeing it. As a college football enthusiast, I'm so glad to see Indiana win their first national championship. And that's the third straight year the Big Ten has won the national championship. Third straight year the Big Ten's won a national championship, by the way. Let's go. But I just love the story. We're not talking about some – now there's criticisms. I've criticized the NIL structure. I've criticized the power of the group of five structure when it comes to the tournament. There's a lot to critique about it. But at the same time, there's stories within it, and the overall trajectory of college football as a product is incredible. But you can't just say, okay, well, college football fans just quit critiquing and watch the product. What? Are you kidding? The very fact that we are critiquing is my next point here, creating a sense of agency, because essentially fans play the role of an agent. So if I'm a fan of the product, if I watch college football, or I'm a big pro football fan too, if I watch college football, everybody knows college football is my favorite sport. I'm an agent. I'm going to promote college football. I'm going to tell people about college football who don't even watch college football. I'm going to watch college football. I'm going to have people who I inspire to watch college football. Like I have my family in the house. They watch college football now. One of my sons, he's an absolute enthusiast of college football. All of my kids love college football. But one of my sons, I mean, he knows just as much as an adult when it comes to portal stuff, when it comes to trades, when it comes to pickups. He's a big fan, and he's only 10, about to be 11. And so that happened because of being inspired by his dad being an enthusiast of college football. But you don't have people going around here being inspired by pro wrestling fans to learn more about pro wrestling. And we'll get into the rings here, the 4 Ps here in just a minute. That's very important too, from a business standpoint. But you don't have people doing that. Why? Because the product is so niche, and it's saying that, okay, well, the mentality oftentimes within the WWE is, okay, well, we have our core and anybody can jump in when they want to, but within our core, the ones who are complaining are the odd ones out. No, they're not the odd ones out. They're a part of the niche. They're your agents. And so you have to be sure to create a sense of agency with the fans, because what that does is it allows them to feel like they matter. And what happens is when they don't feel like they matter, when you have your agents who are within the product, who are within the bubble, if the agents don't feel like they matter, why would they continue to be agents? The reason why products spread and there's product knowledge is because there's agents. If you have an agent of a model, for instance, the company doesn't know about the model until the agent tells the company about the model. The person doesn't know about the product until the agent tells the person about the product. And if you don't cater to your agents, your P1s, we'll get there in a minute, what happens is your agents feel like they don't matter, and your agents start to talk bad about you. That's like saying, that's again, going back to the model scenario, that's like saying that I have a model, but she's very lazy. I have a model that I'm representing. She's paying me to do that, but I barely hear from her. And we don't have the best relationship because there's been plenty of times where she's faltered on her promises. The WWE has certainly faltered on her promises many times and has not lived up to expectations. But they expect the agents to speak well of them to the audience, to the potential audience, to the outsiders. Make it make sense, because it doesn't. So a university professor and fan engagement researcher, Rui Biscaya, said this: understanding customers is one of the things that is important. Shaping the fans' behaviors is also an important thing, but mainly the idea is to create a two-way communication process. Allow the fans to have a voice, to feel that they are part of the community. There you go. You have a fan engagement researcher who knows about the importance of fan engagement and how that relates and how that can make or break a company, how that can make or break a product. And it's important for the fans to have a voice. And when you're saying that their opinion don't matter, you're basically taking their voice away from them. If you're saying that you can't critique the product, you're telling them that their voice don't matter. They critique it because they care. And then you're telling them, no, I'm taking that away from you. Just watch it. Just watch it and enjoy. What type of dogmatic sadistic sadomasochism is going on here when it comes to product and consumer here? Very dark way of telling a customer that you don't have a voice, but at the same time, you're supposed to be my agent. So as you can see here, it's important for the fans to have a Derek is in the building. What's up, my guy? Former host of the show, former co-host of the show, my man. And Chris, and I appreciate everybody else is on here too. Appreciate y'all as always, man. Orcor, Ben, Danimal. Let's see here. For you, of course, if you want your Ben, J Dub, man, lots of people on here. I appreciate it. If you want any if you have any questions for me, I will answer them after the class. And of course, go ahead and head up to the super chat if you want to be the case. All right. So yeah, I mean, agents, y'all, agents. If you're an agent, you want to agent the person you're representing. And if you're representing the WWE, you hope to tell the people, the outsiders, positive things. But if the person isn't staying loyal to you, why be loyal to them? All right, number two is return on investment, man. Return on investment, the good old ROI. So here's the thing. When it comes to ROI, phrases like just don't watch the product anymore, and I wish I could tell people F off being a critic, be a fan. These things are antithetical to the consumer growth and satisfaction of a product. Many fans are critical of the product due to feeling as if they are not receiving an adequate return on investment. So this is a bit of a nerd out moment. I love talking about the sunk cost fallacy. It's so important within relationships. Absolutely, LJ. Appreciate it. Yeah, when it comes to sunk cost fallacy, it's really important when it comes to business. It's really important when it comes to investment. It's really important when it comes to relationships. It's really important when it comes to friendships. It's a very, very important concept. So fans are critical of the product due to feeling as if they're not receiving an adequate ROI. And an inadequate ROI leads to what's called the sunk cost fallacy. The sunk cost fallacy is defined as the tendency for an individual's decision-making to be impacted by unrecoverable previous investments of resources. In other words, people will often increase time and money investments in a failing course of action to try and recover or justify an initial investment. And this leads to an escalating commitment to a losing course of action. So you're spending more money oftentimes to compensate and to justify your hope for it to work. It's a very backwards way, and it's a very deceptive way, but that's just how our minds work. We just throw more money into something that we feel even, and oftentimes when it comes to sunk cost fallacy, we know, and we knew we should have abandoned it a long time ago. And what happens is what we do is we say, okay, so I know that in my mind, in my brain, in the way that I'm processing things, in the way that I usually process things, I know for a fact that this is going to hurt the snot out of me, because if I completely let this go and say that I'm done with it, I've lost so much money. It'll just confirm what I'm already struggling with inside, which is I've lost so much money and time in this investment. So what people do when it comes to sunk cost fallacy, they'll just keep throwing more money into it in a very cognitive dissonant way in hope that one day it'll just turn around. And oftentimes it doesn't. That's the whole point of the sunk cost fallacy. They do that with relationships too. I'll hold on to a relationship for so long because I've put so much emotional investment in it. And if I let it go, that means that will confirm that this relationship was a failure from a long time ago, from years ago. It's been a failure for a long time now. Even if the person knows this, they will still spend the time and continuing to invest emotional dollars in a relationship. And they'll just keep it going, and they'll deceive themselves, and they'll have cognitive dissonance out the woo woo to continue to stay in a relationship, knowing that they should have abandoned it a long time ago. Business, the same way. Someone starts a business, for instance, they know that they should have stopped a long time ago. They should have stopped throwing money in this business a long time ago. But what do they do? They run up their credit, and they spend a lot of time with continuing to throw money in the business, hoping that it turn around, knowing that they spend so much money and they're at bankruptcy at this point. They really don't have much to spend. They know that they should have stopped years ago, but they've put so much money in within hopes that things will change. That is sunk cost fallacy. Same thing when it comes to investments. You're continuing to put, there's no way it's going to turn around. I put all this investment in. There's no way that this is going to, one of these days, I know that it's been a while. I know that I've spent so much time with putting so much money in, but man, this person told me that this was going to work. They told me that this is going to work. And it hasn't worked for so long, but I know, I feel it. I've spent so much money. I've put $53,000 in this product, and this product is still not working. And I really want it to work, but unfortunately it's not working. But I don't want to come to grips that this product is not working anymore. So I'm going to continue to put money and time into it. And it's a really difficult transition to let go of an investment, of a business, of a relationship when it comes to the sunk cost fallacy. A failed return on investment creates a mindset of, we've invested too much to quit now. And this leads to significant levels of remorse upon deep reflection. And what happens is, once you're awakened from the sunk cost fallacy, deep regret occurs, which causes the blind loyalist to become the biggest opposer. And this loyalist for so long, because of convincing themselves that it's going to work, there's going to be a turnaround, there's going to be a turnaround, there's going to be a turnaround. And then when the person is awakened, and then they realize, and they came to grips that, man, nah, I knew it wasn't going to work a long time ago. And this isn't anything to do with hindsight bias. It wasn't a know-it-all alone effect. It was one of those things of, you know what? I should have been honest with myself. And I should have realized that this thing was a nothing burger from a long time ago. And now what happens is, you start to internalize this. I made a mistake by putting so much time and effort and money into this thing. But the person knows that they are going to feel that way if they concede. So therefore, what they do is they continue to throw in time and money and effort. That's the sunk cost fallacy. But unfortunately, they'll start to get upset when they do make the decision to abandon ship, and they now become the opposer. I can't believe that product. The product sucks. A long time ago, I should have left. And then the same agent, just like I was talking about, starts to be completely contradictory to what you wanted that agent to be, because you didn't do your job and hold your end of the bargain. Let's go on to number 3, which is suspension of disbelief. So this is a really interesting concept. This concept of suspension of disbelief, it was actually created by Green and Brock around 2000. And so It's from the concept. It's from a book, 1993, that was called "Experiencing Narrative Worlds" from Richard Garrick. And this is what Garrick said. He said, "Someone." This is the concept behind narrative transportation theory. He said, "Someone, the traveler, is transported by some means of transportation as a result of performing certain actions. The traveler goes some distance from his or her world of origin, which makes some aspects of the world of origin inaccessible. The traveler returns to the world of origin somewhat changed by the trip." And so the aim for this is for a person to become so immersed in the story that he or she transports away to a place where they're unable to access elements of daily life. They want to suspend their disbelief. They want to escape from reality, and they want to be submerged and immersed in this product. Oftentimes, this happens when it comes to television and media, and also reading a book. And so when it comes to media production, when it comes to good episodic television, you really get into the story. You really get into the plot. You really get into the narrative. And oftentimes what happens is when someone reads a book, like for instance, like a romance novel, and you have this hopeless romantic that is writing all types of spoken word poetry and thinking about, just this fantasy, this ideal utopian relationship scenario. What happens is this person reads novels and they really get like submerged. They immerse themselves in the book. They escape from reality. They align themselves, or they relate to certain characters, and that is it's an amazing feeling to escape into a book, or escape into a podcast, or escape into a story arc from an episodic television show or a movie. WWE is the same way, should be the same way. So as someone is immersed in the story, all mental systems and capacities become focused on events occurring in the narrative, experiencing strong emotions and motivations as a result of being, what Green and Brock would say, beyond loss of access to real world facts, even when they know the events in the story are not real. So it's not real. It's not real. But despite knowing that it's not real, you still get immersed and lost in the story. Even if like real world is gone. The real world, I'm going to put on pause for a second to immerse myself in this narrative. That's the art of storytelling. That's the art of creating a convincing storyline. That's the art of having a story that immerses a pro wrestling fan away from reality. You know that it's choreographed. You know that it's staged. You know that someone isn't really punching someone in the face, because if someone was literally punching someone in the face, they would show it. They would have a shiner. They would have a busted lip. Like you know that someone's really not punching someone in the face. However, that's not the point. The point is you have to get to a point where someone is immersed in the narrative of the story. What happens in 2026 pro wrestling and modern day pro wrestling, it's much more about the action than it is the story. I've been seeing a whole bunch of WWE Unreal people getting upset about writers not even knowing what to do about certain matches and stars and title holders and title changes and arguing. And like, that's the thing. That's where we're at this point. That's where we're at. Where's the long-term storytelling? You guys are having arguments about just the simple title change and not even knowing what to do after that. That's where we're at now. What's up with the long-term storytelling? What that unreal snippet, that unreal moment that's been going on around the socials, that just goes to show that is so different. That is so contrary to the narrative transportation theory. You know what related to the narrative transportation theory? Cody Roman 2, WrestleMania 40, Rock coming in as the final boss. You know what? Y'all hit it with that one. And the interesting part about that was an audible. Because guess what? You listened to the agents, ladies and gentlemen. You listened to the agents. And because of that, a audible was created that was probably much better than the original. Now, we'll get to the point where, you're basically like the quote from the professor, hey, it's your job to manipulate the fans. That's your job. Create the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows. But it wouldn't be so much desire for audibles if there was a long-term storyline that actually stuck, that actually meant something, that actually was creating that roller coaster feel, that actually was creating that moment for people to really get immersed in. A simple high fly match, bouncy Javon Evans, although he's phenomenal, by the way, at what he does. Amazing at what he does. But just, hey, it's time to get bouncy. Eventually the guy's going to get hurt. And there was a scare that I heard that recently happened. Okay, so eventually you're going to have hurt wrestlers because there's no narrative transportation theory in the same types of matches every single week. You got someone yeeting from the crowd every week. Where's the narrative transportation theory in that? Where's the long-term storytelling in that? It's the same stuff every single week. Just like I said, it's a circus loop. Same circus performance, different city. Where is the narrative transportation theory in that? Hogan Andre, narrative transportation theory. Bruno Zbyszko, narrative transportation theory. Sting Flair, narrative transportation theory. Dusty Flair, Hall Tom's baby, narrative transportation theory. I remember 1994, The Undertaker at the Royal Rumble. He gets buried. There's a bunch of people, there's a gang of heels that come and they jump him. And he says, he gets put in the casket. He gets ascended up to the heavens and he says, I will not rest in peace. Goes up, gets ascended. You have a silhouette of the Undertaker going up. Which there was some there's like a folklore that was Marty Jannetty, by the way. I don't know if I ever confirmed. I don't ever check to confirm that, but there's been a lot of talks over the years that was actually Marty Jannetty, which is interesting. I'm not sure about that, but yeah, that's quite interesting. So what happens? You have Chuck Norris out of anybody, ladies and gentlemen, Naked Gun. For months, you got Chuck Norris on the prowl, finding the real Undertaker. You even have a doppelganger of the Undertaker brought in by Ted DiBiase. And then guess what? You have SummerSlam of that year. You have purple and black Undertaker now instead of gray and black Undertaker. And he has different music. His funeral music is a little bit more emotional than it was before. Now he has that big old, Paul Bearer comes in with that big old urn. You have the face-off between the Undertaker versus the Undertaker. The Royal Rumble was in January. SummerSlam was in August. That's a 7-month build. That's a 7-month story. That was 31 and a half years ago. And we still remember it vividly. Do I remember a random "This Is Awesome" match from Raw a few weeks ago? Leslie Nielsen, Chuck Norris was the person who was featured in the Royal Rumble, I believe. Leslie Nielsen from the Naked Gun. And so Leslie Nielsen goes on the prowl trying to find this Undertaker. And so after all of that time, I'm interested. I'm invested into it. I'm super invested as a fan of wondering about this real Undertaker. And then you have Ted DiBiase bringing in this fake Undertaker and posing this fake Undertaker as the real Undertaker. That is narrative transportation theory. I am immersed into the product. And I'm not sitting here looking at the same type of stuff every single week. This match was the same thing that happened 2 weeks ago, was the same thing that happened 3 weeks ago, was the same thing that's going to happen next week. There's no narrative transportation theory in that. I'm not immersed in that. That's like me reading a book, which narrative transportation theory happens quite a bit. What happens is I'm reading a book and I'm reading a chapter, and chapter 5 sounds a lot like chapter 4. I'm like, okay, this is a bit odd. Chapter 6 sounds a little bit different. And then I read chapter 7 and it reads a lot like chapter 5. And I'm like, where's the narrative here? Where's the story? I'm not connected. And that's why once this otherworldly experience has been created with a good book that I've read that's caused me to be immersed, or a good story that I've seen in the WWE, it forms a litmus test for the expectation of future stories. So inability to match the experience, it leads to fan backlash. You're going to have people who are very, very disappointed with not being able to live to this narrative. There should be narratives throughout the entire year of professional wrestling, not just thrown together matches. We've talked about this so many times before when it comes to John Cena's run. I've even talked to his dad about it. Go to a former episode and you'll see what his dad feels about John Cena. I brought John Cena's dad here right after his last match, and he laid it all down on the table of how he felt. And so where's the narrative transportation theory in that? Instead, we get a heel turn, no payoff, random tweet that leads to an AJ style match. Oh, let's throw in AJ. Let's throw in Logan Paul in there. Oh, let's throw in R-Truth in there, which based on Unreal, no payoff. Cut his hair, sure. Nothing done with it. Failed opportunity. Oh, let's throw Brock in here to promote this ESPN partnership. Oh, let's have Brock annihilate John Cena. Oh, let's have John Cena have zero payoff. Oh, let's have John Cena win the Intercontinental Championship. He's Grand Slam champion. Oh, let's have John Cena lose the Intercontinental Championship. Oh, let's have John Cena not try to go for it again. Oh, yeah, let's just have a tournament to crown the last John Cena opponent. Oh, let's have Gunther beat John Cena as he's smiling and tapping. Oh, let's pay that off by moving Gunther over to AJ Styles. And AJ Styles is an absolute Hall of Famer. 100% Without a doubt, AJ Styles is incredible. But you haven't pushed AJ Styles at a John Cena level. So you're going down in a level when it comes to Gunther. Not because of AJ Styles' inability to be at a John Cena level. It's because you booked AJ Styles to be at a level that's substantially lower than John Cena. So Gunther goes from beating John Cena to retiring AJ Styles. You just retired John Cena. And you retired Goldberg. Now you're going to retire AJ Styles, which I said that should be a WrestleMania match. They're just throwing in the Royal Rumble unless Styles beats Gunther and they run it back at WrestleMania, which it would surprise me, that's for sure. But you haven't created AJ Styles anytime soon. I mean, he was a janitor during a daggone Intercontinental title feud. Like that's what he was, and he won a tag team title with Dragon Lee. That's what you've been doing with AJ Styles. And for some odd reason, I, as the agent, am supposed to think that somehow this is helping Gunther's stock by beating John Cena, and then his next order of business is to feud with AJ Styles, who've been booked substantially less than John Cena. It's not a step up. It's not even a lateral move. Again, as far as how they did it. And of course, it was John Cena's last match regardless, but at the same time, it created the type of, based on Gunther's promos as well, it created the image, it created the presentation of Gunther taking him out because he took the credit for it. So you're having that on top of retiring Goldberg, retiring John Cena, and now you're at AJ Styles. That's not a lateral move. And again, it's not because of AJ Styles, not at all because of AJ Styles. It's because there's no narrative. And AJ Styles has not been booked as this big superhero, this big monster hero that's taken down villains. If you had a narrative, you would have that. Green and Brock said this: character is the driving force in fiction, and therefore attachment to characters may play a critical role in narrative-based belief change. Attachment to a protagonist may be an important determinant of the persuasiveness of a story. You got to be attached. You got to create the story. You got to realize that there are people who are really sinking their attention and drawing their attention to this story. Don't mess it up. And if you mess it up, you're taking the risk of the person not reading your material again. If you're a novelist and you had a good book and then you had like 3 bad ones, the bad books are going to trump the good ones. You're not going to be known as a good novelist anymore. All right, let's go to our last one here. Accountability improves the product. Accountability improves the product. So imagine an Amazon product with 0 reviews. Would you be more inclined to buy the product, this particular product that has 0 reviews, or would you be more inclined to buy a product that was an overall 4.2 rating, but this rating includes 2,500 ratings and 500 comments? Most people will be inclined to buy the 4.2 because there's proof there. There's no proof in the 0 review product. So if you're telling us, oh, don't critique. No, 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 no. Don't critique. Just watch. That's like saying, oh, no, no, no. Don't review. No, don't send a star out. No, don't just buy the product. No, 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 no. We don't need your reviews. No, we are in a review culture. The heart and soul of Airbnb are the darn reviews of both the host and the reviewer, the person who is being reviewed. It's reviews galore. The host reviews the person who's renting or the person who's buying or temporarily lodging there, and then the person who's staying rates the host. And if you go on Airbnb, you get to see both. You get to see both profiles. You get to see the person who have the ratings, and you get to see the person who is the hostess, so to speak, or the hostee, so to speak. So you have the hostee, and you can see this person's comments too. You can see this person's ratings too. If I hosted an Airbnb and someone was interested in a temporary stay for the weekend at my place that I'm hosting, Airbnb, I have the ability to accept or reject this person's request. If I see this rating and this person got a slew of didn't take the trash out, left the house very disaster, very dirty, didn't clean up anything, super untidy, do you think that I'm going to hit accept on that? Absolutely not. Because we live in a ratings culture, which is good because it goes to show the authenticity of whatever the thing is, the person, the host, the hostee, the consumer, the product owner, the company. We live in a ratings culture. If the overall rating is good, you're able to discard the outliers. So if it's a 4.2 rating with 2,500 ratings in a 4.2 and 500 comments, and there's it came late. I'm going to rate 1 star because it came late. Or there was a small defect, and so I'm rating 1 star. Yeah, if I'm looking at that product, I'm like, my wife and I have done this before. We've looked at a product, we looked at the reviews, and we just see like bitter people rating 1 star because it was a defect. Defects happen. Get a daggone return and get a new one. But guess what? You're going to have those types of people who are going to have those outliers. If the product is a 4.2 overall without those many ratings, people are going to discard the outliers. Pro wrestling's the same way. If there were only a few outliers, a new consumer would easily be able to discard this information. However, when there are several reviews saying similar remarks about the product, a new customer now becomes reluctant to buy the product. So what is the solution to this gap from a business standpoint? You either increase the quality or you increase the quantity or the price, or you do both. Oftentimes, though, and will be seen in pro wrestling, according to a lot of people who are critics, is you have not increased the quality. You've only increased the quantity. We have more shows and higher ticket prices. So you've created you've increased the quantity, but you've not increased the quality. So that's a poor solution to the gap. And fans react accordingly. And so before we go, I'm going to talk about the 4 rings of fan activity. All right. So the 4 rings of fan activity. So you have the P1, which is the first preference. All right. So these are the core fans. You have the P2, those who are interested in the product, but not as much as the P1. All right. You have the P3, who are basic fans with no real emotional connection. So they're not avid fans. They're consumers of the product, but they're not avid fans. All right. Then you have the P4s, who are infrequent fans and only watch for a specific reason. For instance, The Rock coming back, the final boss era of WrestleMania 40 in the beginning of the year. And so that is the type of stuff that causes interest within fans. Those are the P4s. All right. So here's the goal from a business perspective. The goal is to create a product that's interesting enough to move the P4s over to P3s and to move the P3s over to P2s. And then you have P2s moving over to P1s. And then you have a bigger set of loyalists. You have a bigger set of P1s. And then you have opportunities for more P4s to come in or P3s to come in order to shift them over to become loyalists as well. But you have to have a compelling product to shift the P4s to the P3s and so forth. What's happening now is, okay, we've developed and we've created over time so many P1s and P2s that we can hike up the price, and then we can still, because they're loyalists, oftentimes blind loyalists, we can hike it enough, and we can hike the price up enough in order for them to still remain loyal and for them to still invest in the product. And again, that's when you also got to incorporate sunk cost fallacy, because a lot of these people are complaining. And you have the people who are buying the tickets, buying the merch, but still complaining, because that's their cognitive dissonant way to be able to justify their actions. That's what they're doing. They're justifying spending so much money and throwing so much money into the product because they're expecting a turnaround. They don't have a turnaround, and they're continuing to throw money. Now, are there people who are pro wrestling enthusiasts that enjoy the product? Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. There's still, regardless of how you paint it, how you fold it, how you try to rearrange it, rehaul it, overhaul it, it's still a father and son industry. It's still bring your son to the wrestling match. Now, the new motto is, okay, well, let's hike the prices up for the 20-somethings or 30-somethings, and let's recoup, the loss in quality and loss in people by increasing the prices. And so it's working for them now, but is that a successful or is that an efficient long-term goal? It generally isn't. Pro wrestling might be the exception, but it generally is not, unfortunately. So it's time for, what you have to do is you have to increase the quality. Again, your goal is to move the P4s over to the P3s, P3s over to P2s, P2s over to P1s. Rinse, repeat. All right. All right. Well, that is my class for today. Yeah. So, and a perk for the Patreon, I'm actually going to download this presentation in full, and you'll be able to download it yourself for Patreon. All right. So if you are on the Patreon, patreon.com/pancakes and power slams, that is patreon.com/pancakes and power slams, and you will be able to get this presentation and this class and slides info. All right. All right. That was fun, y'all. That was a lot of fun. I appreciate being a professor today. Be sure to share this class today. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. A couple things, just your encouragement for the class, some things that you've learned. Like I said before, hey, take notes, man. I would love to see people give takeaways and do their notes, their minute notes, their class notes as comments on the show, after the show, in the comment section. That would be great. So do that. And again, what would you rate pro wrestling currently? What letter grade would you give it, and why? All right. Hopping on the Patreon for a little bit, patreon.com/pancakes and power slams. We're going to be talking about Saturday's main event predictions. And the one thing I love about our Patreon is the patrons. What we do, of course, we go live. Everybody's on the screen. It's just a hangout. It's an after party. It's a hangout. We all just have a good time and chat. I get questions asked to me. We talk about the product. And guess what? They fill me in on the goings on of pro wrestling. So shout out to the Patreons. Shout out to the patrons and the after party filling me in about pro wrestling. So only thing I need is some Twitter visits and my patrons to fill me in on pro wrestling. And so it calls me to be current. So lots of fun, y'all. All right. Again, patreon.com/pancakes and power slams, less than $1 a week. Show your support there and be able to access these slides in full there. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your week of wrestling. God bless. And always remember, I do it for you. Have a good night, everybody. So long.